Arsene Wenger used to have a saying, the old Arsenal manager, Adam Cooney, whenever a player would come back from injury or suspension or whatever it might be, he's like a new recruit for us. And you hear it in our...
He's not the only one
You
who's
hear it a
rolled that
lot.
line out.
You hear it a lot in our neck of the woods as well. He's going to be like a new recruit. It's sort of, he's going to be like a new recruit sort of peak time as well, because pre-season's underway and a number of players who have missed big chunks of 2021, even 2020. Some have had a horrific run of it. We thought we'd throw it out there. It's a time for optimism. No one's played a game in anger. No one's lost yet. Everyone's undefeated.
Everyone's flying.
Everyone's as fit as they've ever been.
PBs.
The shirts are off. Everyone's looking magnificent. Everyone's fit and firing. Who's going to be like a new signing for your team next season? It can be a player who was injured. It could be a second or a third-year player ready to break out, or maybe just someone who was a bit off their tucker in 2021. 0433 98 11 16 1300 736 736. Who's going to be like a signing for your club in season 2022? Who comes to mind for you, Adam Cooney? Have you got one that just, without even thinking, just comes readily to mind?
Michael Hurley from the
good one.
Bombers.
We wish him. There's no guarantees there, is there?
No.
That sounded just absolutely horrific, and probably a lot worse than what we.
Well, it was an infection.
Yep.
In the hip.
Could have lost
it. Which is never good. Could have lost a limb there, or possibly even worse. So he spent a fair bit of time trying to get himself right. At the moment, you're right. There's no guarantees that he comes back and plays footy at all. But I just think that if he did and was able to, I think the forward line is a terrific option for the big fella. To fill a hole there potentially that Essendon certainly require.
I reckon the Dogs have even got a couple. You know, for a team that went all the way to the last game of the year, they've got I know Jamari Ugle-Hagan played 5 games, I think, all of those in the second half of the season.
Ready to rip it to shreds.
I think he's ready to take it on. Now, Josh Bruce won't be there, of course. Sam Darcy won't be ready, we don't think. There's a spot.
Don't you?
Well, I think we're asking a lot of Sam Darcy to come in and
Say
play
that
most
again.
games. So Jamara lines up in the forward 50. I think it could be really exciting next year.
Yeah, nice. That's a good one. My other one I had that sprung to mind after doing SEN SA breakfast with Hazy over the last few weeks is Wayne Millerer. Now, he's only played 2 games in the last 2 seasons, just riddled with injury. But if they can get him back off, running off half back, his drive and breaking line ability, it could be a definite new recruit.
Well, he was a subject of the news last night, actually, training, and that, perhaps we shouldn't expect too much of him too early. But he's up and about training now, and Darren Burgess was really conscious of training him hard, and they've got big hopes for him. But they're sort of tempering those expectations in the first couple of rounds. I mentioned the Dogs. Billy's in Ascot Vale. He's got a nomination for us from the kennel. Welcome to you, Bill.
Yeah, morning, gentlemen. Yeah, I just wanted Adam's opinion. I'm thinking more Toby McLean. He's had a rough couple of last seasons with injury. I think if he gets his body right now, he's just about to explode.
Yeah, he's had ACLs, Toby McLean.
Good player.
And then, was he fit towards the back end of the season, or is he still unavailable to be picked for the finals side? So yeah, you're right. He's one who is a hero at the Dogs, obviously, with that 2016 side. So, he missed a lot of footy over the past couple of years. It's a good nomination, Billy, because he's one who the Dishies love. It's just unlucky, like some of these players who just have one injury and then another one, then you find yourself out of favour. Tough to get back after a couple of years and break back into the side.
Just makes things happen, though, doesn't he? He's a real impact player, Toby McLean. Something happens every time he goes near the pill. Alan's got a great nomination. You're on the road, Alan. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas, guys. I have a suggestion, but I want to ask your opinion on this. Actually, we have a couple, Sicily in the back line and Gunston in the forward line. But I was just going to ask you, I think Gunston's more for the fact that he's pretty footy smart, and you can't just mind the other guys. You can't put your third best, backman on him. But I have a question for you. Do you guys think that the fact that Sicily is coming back and now we have similar type players like Will Day or CJ or even Scrimshaw like him, could they not use him in a forward line? And given the fact that he's such a great kick and a long kick, could he play in a half forward position, you guys think?
Which player are you talking about?
Sicily. Has played there historically, of course.
Yes. I really like him as an intercept defender.
How many interceptors do you want, though?
I think Will Day could be a winger. I think he can push up there. And Giath is more of a running defender who gets your drive off half back. And I think Sicily is the main man you want back there, intercepting and giving it to those fellas. I think Will Day will push up the ground.
You got Scooby-Doo. You got Shaggy as well, rather. The high-ranked draft pick at Hawthorn, Denver Granger Barras, who didn't play much football, who is widely considered to be a chief interceptor as well. So if he comes on, and Alan mentioned Gunston and Sicily, and then Will Day. I mean, there's a guy who only played 5 games this year. 11 games the year prior, has had a string of injuries all the way through.
Very good player, though.
Very good player, but we haven't seen him be able to get a consistent run at it. So they've got several Hawthorn, and they've got literally a new signing in their coach in Sam Mitchell. So you can be glass half full about the Hawks, or you can be glass half empty.
Oh, where's your glass sit?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Probably more on the empty side, but you could seriously end up with egg on your face talking about the demise of the Hawks next year, I reckon.
People picking them to finish bottom.
Yeah.
But what about the back end of the year from the Hawks?
Yeah, it took some scalps, didn't they?
Exactly. They took a few down. Well, it was the sort of, we've got to see Clark go off in the best manner possible, and they lifted a bit for that.
Maybe there was a bit of that. Thanks for the call, Alan. Some good nominations. There are quite a few at the Hawks. Rob's in Glen Iris. Welcome to you, Rob. Who's going to be like a new signing?
I'm loving the Dons at the moment, and the way the backline was last year, I reckon needed a bit of composure and experience. So I reckon Michael Hurley coming into the Dons backline might be a good shout.
Backline, you think he slides into straight back there, Rob?
Absolutely.
Did well without him back there. They found a couple. James Stewart going back there, Laverty as well. So would you send maybe James Stewart back to the forward line if the big fella Michael Hurley goes back into defence, Rob?
Well, I reckon Hurley will have that bit of experience because it was quite an experienced backline, and I reckon James Stewart could play as like a floating somewhere around the midfield and drop back when needed be.
Okay.
Oh, Rob, good nomination for you. Jay Gresham's come through a few times. There's a dynamic player that the Saints, we spoke about him yesterday, I reckon. Just he is the ace in the pack of that midfield that's a bit samey, and he can make things happen. So Jay Gresham at the Saints. Cam Rayner coming through. He was just about ready to go, I reckon, at the Brisbane Lions when he was struck down. So plenty of nominations for Cam Rayner coming in. Toby Nankervis at the Tigers. Toby Nankervis played... Just having a look, he played 16 times this year, did finish the season. I know he was hampered earlier on, but with Callum Coleman-Jones going and seeking another start at North Melbourne, then, they've got and I know they've got Soldo as well to come back. So perhaps Toby Nankervis, he can get back to his best coming through off the text. Noddy's nominated Willie Rioli. What a journey Willie Rioli has had.
Yeah. Even in recent times as well.
Yeah. Indeed.
Been up and about, Willie.
First player I wrote down was Charlie Curnow.
Well, he's been the most popular one off the text.
Yeah.
Charlie Curnow. And I think everyone wants to see him do well, whether you're a Carlton supporter or not. I think you'd have to admit that if Charlie Curnow has a blistering season in 2022, that'll bring a smile to most people's faces, unless he's burying your team on a Saturday afternoon.
Indeed. And Zach Fisher's another one at the Blues, actually, who would be nice to see a bit more footy. And obviously, Kayla Marchbanks had a horrific run for the last couple of years. We're overdue to get to the news, though. We'll pick up this conversation on the other side, though. So give us your nomination. A new signing. Who will be like a new signing at your club next year? They've had a bad run of it, but that's all about to turn. 1300 736 736 0433 98 11 16. Welcome back, Summer Breakfast. We're talking about players who are just going to be like a new signing for your club. It's a season of optimism. Everyone's fit. Everyone's firing. No one's lost a game. Players have just departed for their Christmas breaks. So let's go glass half full on things. Off the text, Jeremy Howe literally missed 2 years. Well, not quite literally. He did play last year. In fact, he featured 8 times, and he featured 4 times the season prior to that. But granted, he's had a horrific run of it of late, and a fit Jeremy Howe with hopefully a newly re-signed Darcy Moore in the back half for the Fly. Craig McRae would be welcome, I would have thought. Very welcome.
Yeah, great for the back half of Collingwood. Good for the competition too when Jeremy is sitting on people's heads. taking hangers weekly. So he hasn't literally missed 2 years, but he's hasn't been at his best for 2 years due to injury.
This has come through a couple of times. Now, this guy came down from GWS to North Melbourne to fill a need in the back half.
Before the end of the season?
Yep. Stable,
walked out.
Solid player indeed. He was banished by GWS when he told them he wanted out in a trade period, or as a free agent as it was. And he gets to North Melbourne. He's there for not literally, but he was there for about 5 minutes and he gets hit by a turf toe. And that pretty much summed up Aidan Corr's season at North Melbourne. So I think they get him in there. He will make a profound difference.
Yeah, Robbie Tarrant going to Richmond. So that's certainly a hole that needs to be filled, and Aidan Corr will be that man. Just keep those toes away from the turf.
Indeed. Even though he played the back end of the year, this guy was getting better every single game, says Sam in South Croydon, and that man is Ben Brown for the Demons.
Oh, yes. Premiership player as well. People scoffed.
They did.
When he went there, and worked out pretty well.
Well, they've ended up having no forwards, and now they've got 3 when you factor in Wiedemann. But it did work in the end. They spent a lot of the year looking for the right chemistry, didn't they? Bailey Fritsch is a star. So you play him there with Ben Brown alongside and Tommy Mack getting up and down the ground. Should he stay at that level of fitness? I thought that was a nice little chemistry.
That was the question mark on how they were going to win the premiership, the forward line and how it was going to function, because midfield, unbelievable. Backline, super solid with Lever and May down there. And the big question mark was what sort of forward setup they were going to go into the final series. And look, they just timed it to perfection. We were worried. They obviously knew exactly what they were doing, and the recruitment of Ben Brown is a huge tick for them. So well done to the D's there. There's a couple. Stephen Cornelio has come through a couple of times off the text.
Can he?
So his numbers, 16 games in 2020 after taking over the captaincy at an average of 21 disposals. And last year, just the 7 games, average of 14 disposals. So this is a guy who took the competition by storm.
2019, yeah, 20. He was in the conversation best player in the comp.
Yeah, and got paid
as such,
like it. So I mean, and his numbers prior to that, he averaged nearly 27, nearly 28, 26, 28 over the past 4 years before that. So,
but he was so dynamic, wasn't he?
The build to him becoming a superstar was evident, and that's why he got paid as such. And since taking over the captaincy, has had injury and form issues. So, if he can get back to his best, then the Giants look likely to stay around that finals race.
Julie's texted in a couple of times on this guy. Now, he wanted more midfield minutes. He wanted more opportunity. So, Jai Caldwell left the Giants as a high draft pick, and he came down to Essendon. Round 1, really promising. 22 touches, 9 tackles, filled the need perfectly, 8 contested possessions. Then it all went wrong against Port Adelaide in round 2. And we didn't see him again until the elimination final, where clearly he wasn't at his best. So, gee whiz, you get Jai Caldwell back fit and firing as well. With many miles left on the clock, the body clock, that's exciting for Essendon fans as well.
It bolsters their midfield even further. They're going to have to find new positions for some of these players because
it's a packed midfield now.
Darcy Parish isn't going anywhere. Dylan Shield has had a few injury problems as well. So they need to find a position for all of these guys who are in their best 22, but probably not in their starting midfield. So like Dyson Heppel, sacrificed his spot in the midfield, went back to play as a defender and did it really well. Marshalled the troops, as they say.
Well, there was another player at another club who moved to halfback, not from midfield to halfback, but from forward to halfback, and his name's Daniel Rioli. Now, this has come through off the text as well. Will be like a new recruit in 2021. Now, he was moved to halfback, what do you reckon, 2/3 of the way through the season?
He'll stay there? That's his new position?
Well, he should, because the last, 6-7 rounds of the season, he was excellent there.
Yeah.
And found a real home there. So I know it's an easy position to play, of course, but he's got the speed, he's good by foot, and I think makes pretty good decisions. So I think he'd be very stable halfback. Hawley's gone.
Yeah, the Basher replacement.
Yep. I think that's a match made in heaven, to be honest, and like a new signing, as they say. Caldwell had 9 touches in first quarter of the elimination final before fitness got him. Yeah, I think we definitely cut him some slack. First game back, of course. Boys, Patrick Cripps under a new coach will get back to his MVP best. If anyone can unlock it, you'd think it'd be the new coach, wouldn't you?
He was one who immediately sprang to mind when we started talking about this for me, because he has been underperforming over the last couple of seasons, and we know that he tapes himself up like a mummy just about every game. But his form has dropped away as well over the past couple of seasons. So if he can get back to, and it's more about being fully fit. Like at times, he just could not move, Paddy Cripps, with that back injury. He's had shoulder problems, and he got hit a couple of times last year when we were commentating on the games, and I thought, well, how's he going to get back up and start running around? Looked like he had the ironing board. There was a bloke who played Origin for Queensland, Tate. He had the ironing board down his back. Maybe Paddy Cripps needed that.
There are so many, aren't there? There are so many out there. Joel Hamling, Alex Pearce for Fremantle. 5 billionth time. He go to another level again at the age of 60. Zach Butters is another one. Missed months in season 2021. Moved into the midfield just prior to that. So I know Kane Corns has got big hopes for his man Zach Butters next year. Elliot Yeo only really got moving again late in the season. So there's so many of them out there.